Hello and welcome to the Future of Loyalty podcast with me, your host, Tom Peace. The Future of Loyalty are a series of informative and engaging podcasts with a laser focus on the emerging trends within the customer loyalty, engagement and CRM sector. I invite industry leaders and subject matter experts to discuss the future developments in customer strategy, and all our discussions are focused on where the industry is going next. Our discussions are fueled by a passion for new developments and innovations in the sector, and we aim for about 20 minutes, perfect for your coffee break, your lunchtime, or your journey home. If you enjoy this podcast, please subscribe at www.theloyaltypeople.global to get all our content direct to your inbox. I'm joined today by Jaimi Farrey, all the way from Australia. Jaimi, would you like to please introduce yourself?
Hi Tom, thanks for having me today.
My pleasure.
I'm Jaimi. I actually hail more from your side of the pond, as they say. So I'm originally from sunny Scotland, and I made the trip to Australia for a holiday about 8 years ago, and still here. So just the weather's a bit better, but it's pretty similar to back home, which is nice.
Yeah, well, the weather's certainly better at the minute because we're right in our cold snap. The day of recording is the 18th of January 2024. We're expecting the blizzards to hit any minute. We've been told snow and ice by the weekend. So you're definitely from a weather point of view in the right place.
Yeah, I won't tell you how hot it is here then. So
Yeah. And whereabouts in Australia are you based? Are you Sydney based?
I know, so I'm in Melbourne,
Melbourne,
so
right?
believe
Okay,
it or
good.
not, it does actually get a bit cold down here. Not as
Yeah.
cold as you guys, but I've been here the whole 8 years. Worked for a few different brands over here, and I'm currently working for a brand called Grilled.
Yeah, I've heard of it.
Um,
So it's a bit, it's kind of like a Nando's equivalent, right?
Pretty much, like in terms of that dining experience, it's very similar to like a UK Nando's, where you'd go with your friends and to hang out. But the food's a bit different. We focus more on burgers. We
Hmm.
beef burgers, chicken burgers, healthy fried chicken burgers. So, I guess our differentiator, our brand over here in Australia, we really lean into the kind of that healthy burger space. So we want you to be able to enjoy us in that kind of guilt-free way. We do a lot of work over here with it's all about sport, nutrition, health. So we have a lot of sport ambassadors, brand ambassadors. We're currently working with Ash Barty on a campaign right
Oh
now
yeah.
that we have in market, former tennis #1. So it's really great to work for quite a purpose-driven brand.
Yeah, wonderful. And I understand that the brand, as well as health, it does a lot of kind of sustainability and charity work. Tell us just a little bit about that.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's why I love working for the Grilled. Our loyalty program is called Relish Membership with Heart. And a big part of our Relish membership is allowing our members to give back to their local communities while also enjoying the brand in a more traditional way with, traditional more rewards and freebies. Basically, when you get to a certain point along your journey, you get the choice to take a free burger, or you can donate it. And via one of our charity partners, we'll give it to someone doing it tough in one of our inner cities. So, it's really special. I think to date, members have donated over 155,000 of their burgers. So it is something they really see
Wow.
value in, and that they love about the program.
Yeah, fantastic. That sounds excellent. And actually, it feeds really well into the subject that we wanted to talk about today,
Yeah.
which is Gen Z loyalty. And it sounds like that's a restaurant really aiming at a Gen Z population, right? Or maybe Gen Z and a little bit older.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's definitely our target audience. It's where we see our growth audience. In
Mm.
Gen Z, I'd say our established audience is more, a bit older generation, definitely millennials. We just celebrated our 20th birthday this year, so we've definitely retained those customers since they were young, since they would have been Gen Z, and they're now older with their families, and now we see the families coming through and those children enjoying it. So yeah, definitely
Mm.
growth in that Gen Z for sure.
Yeah, yeah, and the Gen Z loyalty trend has been talked about a lot, and I think it's
Yeah.
still good to talk about it in a little bit more detail. But I think it's interesting to get a view from other parts of the world. Here, what we're seeing here is that the Gen Zs generally, and the millennials a little bit, are very different in their approach to loyalty, and it's quite difficult for a loyalty brand to deal with that. And I'm wondering if it's a similar thing in Australia and Antipodean countries. Maybe you can advise. But I tell you what we're seeing here is that in the past, the loyalty proposition has been driven a lot by the kind of convenience element and the value element. And I'm a victim of this, massive Avios lover. Collect as many Avios as I can, but it's all about the value. I collect those Avios. I fly with BA, and its partners, and I have an Amex credit card, and I'm just trying to get as many Avios, and then I use that Avios to part pay for next year's family holiday, and that for me is that locks me in loyalty wise because of the value element. But I must admit that, and even I am changing. So I start to think about, well, do I want to always fly BA, or am I looking for a flight that might be slightly better time or better location, and that the carrier is becoming a little bit less important? And I think that's how Gen Zs act, right? They're better researchers. They aren't swayed as easily by those kind of points value messages, and they are also looking for kind of other alignments of belief, sustainability, charity, whatever. And I wonder, is that also what you're seeing? Would you agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, you nailed it on the head, and I think those habits are changing. When you think of a Gen Z audience, they've constantly got a phone in their hand. They've grown up, just having the world at their fingertips. So to them, it's not an effort to be researching,
Yeah.
taking the time out of their day because they're already there. They're already
Mm.
on their phones looking for information, looking for content. They're not having to go out of their way now to do that research. So I think they're savvy shoppers, like you said. They are still looking for prices and discounts and things here anyway, but I think yeah, like you said, they're just looking for a bit more. I kind of like to think of it, if you picture each generation as like a pie chart.
Yeah.
The Gen Z pie chart, they're looking for offers, but I think
Yeah.
what fills up the rest of their pie chart is definitely different to the, older generations, like you said, from a cause, purpose, sustainability point of view.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's interesting actually, because I suppose value. It's not that value isn't important. It's just that they want the value instantly. They want a discount. They don't want a deferred value in terms
Yeah.
of they don't want to earn points that will be valuable in 12 months. They want the discount now. That's maybe what sways them a little bit more, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, they've grown up again, having everything at their fingertips. The patience levels
Yeah,
are definitely different. So, like you said, they want that instant gratification. They want that instant reward. I think though, where they might differentiate a bit though is while we're saying, they are looking for, they might not be as loyal to a brand. I feel that when they are loyal, they're super loyal.
yeah,
I
I
saw
agree with
a
that.
survey recently where it was, what does loyalty mean to you? And it meant to Gen Z, like loving the brand, that love
Yeah,
aspect. They absolutely love it. And that was, say 34% versus the boomers was 15%. So when
yeah.
they are loyal, they're very loyal. It's when if they're in that in-between space, yeah, they are going to jump ship. And if someone's given them that better instant kind of gratification.
Yeah, absolutely. You're absolutely right there. And I think to build on that, I think they are better advocates. So once you have locked them in and once they are super loyal, they really advocate. They are telling everyone. And they've obviously got the advantage of understanding how Instagram works. Who knows how that works? But they use social media, they talk to their friends, etc. So once you have got somebody loyal, the advocacy that you can drive from that is really strong, right?
Oh, for sure. And I think, traditionally, we were consumers, like we consumed content. They're content creators. So what we're seeing is they're coming brand ambassadors, especially, with the
Mm,
rise of things like Web3 and brands moving towards those digital spaces for Gen Z to that community piece that's really important to them. They want to connect with like-minded individuals that have the same that believe in the same causes and things as them. So they're creating content. So that brand ambassador piece cannot be overlooked by brands. Like the equity that's given you is huge amongst that group.
Yeah, yeah, totally agree. Okay, great. So that's how the Gen Zs are sort of different to us in terms of, well, certainly different to me in terms of their approach to loyalty. And how do traditional loyalty brands kind of switch to interact with these guys better? You know, if you're a hotel chain, an airline, a retailer, a restaurant that's been running a traditional style program for many years, how do we advise brands to flip to be a bit more Gen Z focused?
I think it's got to always start with, are you listening and are you asking? Are you
Yeah,
trying to connect or are you assuming? You know, look at your data. What is your data telling you? But always reach out to your audience and ask. If you traditionally don't have a Gen Z audience and you're trying to, reach that audience, again, there's ways that you're going to be able to start doing research there. And I think what's key is really looking at your channel mix and understanding, okay, am I reaching them where they're at? Like I just said, they're
yeah,
spending, some studies are saying over 9 hours a day in front of a screen. So they're on their phones, they're on their screens. Are you there? Traditionally back in the day, mail would have been,
yeah.
the
Snail
channel of
mail.
the day, right?
Yeah,
And then it would have been email, and we still talk about email as king, and that might be true, but we see email as a channel for this generation is nowhere near as impactful. They're on social media, paid media. That's where they are. Messaging apps,
yeah,
whether it's WeChat, Line, WhatsApp, Snapchat, like that's where they are. So if you're not there, you're not going to get to talk to them.
yeah,
If you're sending them 10 emails a month about your latest campaign and things, that's not going to be the way to engage this
yeah.
audience.
Yeah, I totally agree, and that is a good point. We often don't think about that within the loyalty industry. We think about the traditional ways of interacting with our customers and our members from a loyalty point of view. But actually, just traditional marketing and channel mix is a very important part, and that can't be overstated. Can't be overstated. Okay, so but what about the role of kind of influencers and celebrity in that? Because Gen Zs also react really well to that sort of thing, right? And you mentioned Ash Barty, and Ash Barty's got a really strong link to your brand in terms of health, and that is also a really important thing for the Gen Z population, right?
Yeah, I think with influencers, I think a lot of brands will see, okay, we want to attract Gen Z, let's get some influencers. And,
Yeah,
it's and that's really not going to marry up that way. And I think brands really have to understand it has to make sense. Like that customer has to see the partnership as something that makes sense. Otherwise,
yeah,
it's going to come across as really unauthentic. And I think authenticity is really important with Gen Z as well.
yeah,
So if it looks
absolutely.
like you've just paid someone $1 million to come and promote your brand, and if it's an alcohol brand and then they don't even drink alcohol openly on socials, they're going to pick up on that and they're not
Yeah,
going to resonate with that partnership. So another thing brands need to consider is the cost to work with influencers. So it's not realistic if you don't have a big budget there, you're not going to get those big names. You then have to kind of start coming down the funnel of, okay, yeah, what are our audience interested in? Who are the micro influencers in this space? And
yeah,
again, what's going to resonate? So again, it's about meeting them where they are and doing it in an authentic way.
yeah,
And getting influencers that actually genuinely love your brand. Because like I use
yeah.
that love word again, if they're going to resonate with that, if they also love your brand.
Yeah, absolutely. And the authenticity is a big thing, right? Because
Yeah.
greenwashing or sports washing or any type of washing can massively backfire. If you get that wrong to that audience, then the negative effect of that will be much worse than any positives you could have had. So I like what you're
For
saying
sure.
about find an influencer that loves your brand, because if it doesn't come across authentic, or if there is some underlying problem that you didn't research well enough, that can significantly damage the brand, right?
Yeah, and like I said, they will find out, like we just said, they're they're in the content, they're on their phones. They're going to find something that they don't
Yeah,
like
exactly.
if they feel it's unauthentic, and they know what they're talking about. This generation, that they're really passionate about things that weren't as important potentially to generations before me. Definitely millennials are started that trend, I think, of looking at causes a bit more, and now with Gen Z, it's going to be more important than ever. So
Yeah,
if you
wonderful.
as a brand aren't clear on what you actually believe in, it's going to be
Yeah.
problematic.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think just final thoughts then, because we just need to finish up now. But my final thoughts would be that actually we're all getting a bit Gen Z, right? I mean, I mentioned it. My behaviour is starting to change, and I think what we need to do is we actually need to think about the fact that the Gen Z's behaviours that we're looking for, that you very eloquently described there, actually is stretching across us all. We're all all generations are looking for an alignment belief. We are looking for instant gratification. We're becoming more loyal, but we're also becoming a bit more fickle. All the brands out there need to think about these type of behaviors, not just for a demographic of people, but just generally, we're all going a bit that way, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Gen Z, they're leading the agenda. And like you said, it's already starting to kind of permeate through society. And I do think it's a good thing. Like, we're holding brands more accountable. What's the data, the value exchange? I'm giving you my data. What am I getting back? Are you being loyal to me? And I really
yeah,
think, Gen Z is really driving that agenda, and I love it. So it'll
yeah,
be interesting to see how brands start to react to that over the kind of
yeah.
coming years.
Perfect. Well, yeah, I think they're absolutely right. But thank you, Jaimi. That's been a really fascinating conversation. So thank you very much for your time. And this has been a pleasure to speak to you.
No, thank you. Thank you for having me. Glad to be at the start of this journey with you. I'm sure it's going to be a long and fruitful one. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
let's
very
hope so.
excited to be here.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thanks.